Hello students, my name is Vaishali and I am a faculty in School of Finance and Commerce, Galgotias University. I welcome you all to this presentation and the topic that we'll be covering is organizational structure. So let's get started with the presentation. Let's have a look at the topic that we are going to cover. Meaning of organizational structure, types of organizational structure, and then we'll be covering different types of organizational structure like entrepreneurial structure, functional structure, divisional structure, geographically structured organization, matrix structure, and finally boundaryless structure of organization. So organizational structure is basically concerned with the way in which work is divided and allocated. The role of an organizational structure is to outline the roles and responsibilities of individuals and groups in the organization. Now, there are many ways in which an organization can be structured, and most of the time this structure will change as and when company grows and evolves with time. So the most common types of organizational structure that we are going to discuss are entrepreneurial structure, functional structure also known as departmental structure, divisional or product structure, geographically structured, matrix structure, and boundaryless structure. So let's discuss these structures in detail further. Entrepreneurial structure. So this structure is built around the owner and is typical of small businesses in their earlier stages of development. So it is also found where entrepreneur has specialist knowledge of the product or service that organization offers. This kind of structure has many advantages. For example, there is only one person who is making decisions, so decisions are made very quickly. Then secondly, as soon as an element of the market alters, the entrepreneur should recognize it and acts quickly. There is a lack of chain of command, and the small size of the organization means that the entrepreneur has control over the workforce and all the decisions within the organization leads to better goal congruence. The disadvantages are this type of structure is usually suited to small companies where due to size there is no career path for the employees. And when the organization grows, then one person is not able to cope up with the increased volume of decisions. Next is functional structure, also known as departmental structure. So functional organizations group together employees that take similar tasks into departments. This type of structure is often found in organizations that have outgrown the entrepreneurial structure. It is most appropriate for small organizations which have relatively few products or locations and which exist in a relatively stable environment. The advantages offered by this kind of structure are, so rather than duplicating roles in different parts of the company, similar activities are grouped together, which leads to lower cost, standardization of systems, and people with similar skills are grouped together and they don't feel isolated. Then due to larger size of the organization and grouping into functions, there is a career path for employees and they can work their way up through the function. The disadvantages are that managers of the function may try to make decisions to increase their own powers or are just in the best interest of their function rather than working in the best interest of the company overall. This may lead to empire building and conflicts between the function. Then secondly, due to the longer chain of command, decision making is slowed down. This style of structure is not suited to an organization which is rapidly growing and diversifying. Now next is divisional structure, or also known as product structure. So this structure occurs when an organization is split into several divisions and each one is autonomously overseeing a product, like separate division for cars and motorbikes, or a separate geographic section like separate division for US and Europe, or even by customer, like separate division that looks after corporate clients and separate division that looks after private clients. Now each division is likely to have a functional structure with all the departments it needs in order to operate in its particular market segment. So divisions are likely to be run as profit centers with their own revenues, expenditures, capital investments. Each division is separately identifiable part of the overall organization and it is often referred to as strategic business unit. So divisional structure offers a lot of advantages. For example, now if a company wants to grow and diversify, the functional structure cannot cope up. So instead, the divisional structure should be adopted. And if a company wants to grow, diversify further, you just have to add in another division to your organization. Then secondly, it encourages growth and diversity of products, because just by adding additional flavors, you can capture other segments of the market. So this in turn promotes the use of specialized equipments and facilities. Then another advantage is that now due to breakdown of the company's activities into divisions, the divisional manager can clearly see where their areas of responsibilities lie, and it leaves the top management free to concentrate on strategic matters rather than getting involved in day-to-day operations of each division. Now, although this can lead to a lack of control over the activities of the division, but it will free the management from looking into the matters of each division. Then next is the focus of the attention is on the product performance and profitability. So by placing responsibility for product performance and profitability at the division level, they are able to react and make decisions quickly on a day-to-day basis. Then another advantage is that the role of the general manager has less concentration upon specialization. So this promotes a wider view of the company's operations. Now these were the advantages. The disadvantage of divisional structure is that now in most divisional companies there will be some functions which are handled centrally, like accounting function or human resource function. Now in this case, the cost of the centralized function will be divided among these divisions. So divisional manager can think that they are charged more than the other divisions and that is reducing their profitability. So this could be possibly a reason for argument. Now next is geographically structured organization. This is similar to the divisional structure but just involves each division covering a specific location. So for example, a global company may be split into different divisions based on geographic areas. For example, let's say there's a division that looks after organizations' Asian operations, and then the other division that looks after European, and the other one looks after American location. So advantages are same. It enables geographical growth, It allows local decision making. Again, just like divisional structure, it has clearly defined responsibility for areas, and top management is free to concentrate on strategic areas. It has same disadvantages just like a divisional structure, that it can be problematic to distribute the common cost among the divisions. Next is matrix structure. So now matrix structure is a combination of functional and divisional structure. So in matrix structure, there is dual reporting under two different managers. Now suppose, for example, there is an employee who's manufacturing product A. So he'll have to report to the manager of the production department as well as to the manager in charge of product A. It offers various advantages, such as, now in today's rapidly changing environment, there's a need for effective coordination in various complex situations. Now for example, if a car manufacturer wants to design, produce and market a new model, then the process involves almost most part of the organization, and a very flexible system is needed to achieve the objectives. If there is a more strict structure in a divisional company, then it would not provide flexibility to be able to coordinate the task of the people, whereas matrix structure provides that flexibility to be able to coordinate the various tasks. Now here production manager can be replaced with customer manager, and in that case the whole team will be focused on meeting the needs of the customer. It definitely comes with certain disadvantages, and the biggest disadvantage of matrix structure is that it can cause difficulty in the line of control. These may become ambiguous and there can be conflict with each other. So a team member may be answerable to the product manager and to the functional head, which can cause a lot of confusion and stress. So we would be needing a lot of time consuming meetings to resolve these conflicts, and definitely this will result in higher administrative cost. Now next is boundaryless structure. Now these are a type of contemporary model of organizational structure, and it adopts a more flexible approach to the whole concept of structure. So these are essentially an unstructural design, and they are not constrained by a chain of command or formal departments, and their whole focus is just on providing flexibility to the organization. So there are a number of different types of boundaryless organizations like hollow, virtual and modular. Let's look at these in detail. Hollow organizations. So these organizations split their functions into core and non-core activities. So core activities are the ones that are strategically important, and anything that is classified as non-core is outsourced to the other organizations. So outsource is basically contracting out of aspects of the organization's work to specialist providers. For example, if there is an accountancy training organization, it might outsource less important functions such as payroll to a third-party organization which specializes in payroll processing, and core functions such as training students would be kept in-house and undertaken by employees of the company. Next is virtual organizations. So this occurs when an organization outsources many of its functions to other organizations and simply exists as a network of contracts. So even if there are functions, those are very few which are kept in-house. For example, these days many internet retailers could be seen as virtual companies. So their products are brought in from manufacturers, Sales are delivered to customers by third-party couriers, and even their websites may be maintained by and hosted by external IT specialists. So there is typically only a small central staff within a virtual business who coordinates all these different third parties and ensures that their customers' needs are met. Next is modular organizations. Now these are examples of boundaryless manufacturing companies. So rather than simply making their own product, what they do is they break down the manufacturing process into modules or components, and then each component can be made by either the company itself or outsourced to an external supplier. The most common example would be a mobile phone manufacturer. So he may pay external manufacturers to make some key components for its handsets like processor or screens, and then these are just assembled by the manufacturer along with other components that it has manufactured itself. And in extreme cases, the manufacturer can outsource all the components and can just simply assemble it to create the final product. So now we have come to the end of the presentation. I thank you all for hearing me out patiently, and on the screen you can find out some of the references to enhance your knowledge on this topic.